So now we're getting on to some stuff that can feel confusing at first, but once you practice it, it becomes incredibly intuitive because we're adding more logical statements or logical logic gates, as they call them sometimes. So the not, the and the or logic logic gates that you can use in formulas. So we're going to do this again using our January budget. And there's two approaches, and which approach you use is always going to depend on the actual list that you've got. So the one approach is exclusive, which is to say that something is not these things. The other approach is inclusive, to say it's either or these things. So if we're using the or approach, we'll say if it's food or bills, then it's a necessity. If we're using the not and approach, we're saying if it's not a luxury and it's not a gift, then it's a necessity. So to start with, you're going to do something that eventually becomes a bad habit because what you want to do is to simply have this information, and you're going to be summing them up over here. And ideally, you just want to have the information here. But for amateur and start out Excel people, they usually find themselves doing this, building extra columns that can go on and on and on. And that is a bit of a bad habit, but it's unavoidable when you're just learning, is to add columns rather than finding neat ways of simply containing all the information in one or two cells that you're looking for. But to keep things simple, we're going to start out this way. And first of all, we're going to do the and not approach. So it has to not be a luxury and it has to not be a gift. So the way that works is you're going to start with and. Remember, open and close those brackets to start with, because we want to make sure two things are true at once, or in a way, two things are not true at the same time. So it has to not be and make sure you've got the right number of parentheses. It is very, very difficult to keep on top of at first, but it becomes easier over time. So what is it not? It needs to be the case that the category is not equal to luxuries. And you'll separate with a comma. This same category must not equal gifts. So, oops, and I forgot to type in here, not. So let me walk you through the exact syntax, what's going on here. First of all, you've got your and statement. Two things have to be the case. It's not a luxury and it's not a gift. So and, open parentheses, and then you've got your different logicals. Now, logical 1 is here and logical 2 is here. So logical 1 is it's not the case that C11 equals A5. That's what you're wanting to test. And it's also not the case, and this is logical 2, that C11 should equal A6. And with that, what you'll get is either a true or a false outcome. And here we can say, so is it a necessity? This is saying it's true. Well, and that is correct. It's because that is food. Now, just as a reminder, previously, what's going to happen if we just paste this down? Well, we're going to run into some problems because here is one that says it's food and it's saying that that's true. Oh, sorry, here's one that says luxuries and saying that is a necessity. Well, that's not right because it's a luxury. So what's gone on? And it's because, you see, if you click on one of these things lower down, you can see that both of these cells have gone down with the formula. And that's because we didn't freeze them in place. So just keeping on reminding of the importance of range variability, we want to freeze luxuries and gifts in place. So the red and the purple inside the formula. The blue is the one that's going to move down because it's moving together with the list. But the red and the purple, we want to do F4 or input those dollar signs, F4. That's going to freeze them in place. Now you can copy that, or you can just click here and drag down. And this is now going to be accurate. The only two that are saying reading false as not a luxury are the gifts and the luxuries entry, everything else, food and bills, is saying it's true. This is a necessity. So that's the and not approach. So it's not luxuries and it's not gifts. The other approach, and which approach just depends entirely on your list, is to say it can be either one or the other. So what can it be? It can be food or it can be bills. And so this is perhaps the easier one, because all you're going to say is or, then open and close those brackets. This is food, or, comma, this is bills. You see, so this one is the simpler approach. It's the same as the other one, just with the difference that the other one specifies what it's not. And then don't forget, we're going to want to freeze in place the actual categories so they don't move down with the formula. Copy and paste all the way down. And you can see we've accomplished exactly the same results, just using two different methods. So that can feel complex at first, but it is essentially, it is simple enough once you get your head around it and have a little bit of practice. And now what I'm going to do is in the next one show you how we can just have this summing it all together as a neat formula in the top over here without the need for these extra columns.